right now what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate the cosine of 3 pi over 4. Let's go back to what we remember the cosine of theta to equal. All right? I say the cosine of theta, and theta represents an angle. The cosine of theta is your x coordinate over your r value, your radius of your unit circle. So what we're going to do first is we're going to figure out what is actually theta equal to in degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 pi over 4. And we're going to multiply that by 180 over pi. And I just want to figure out where we are on the unit circle. So if you would, what's going to cancel out? These what? These pi's will cancel out. So on the calculator, just do 3/4 times 180. And let's see how many degrees we have. Figure this out. 3 divided by 4 times 180. Look where we're at. We're at 135 degrees. So 135 degrees. Now this is where I want you guys to build your unit circle. So we're at 135 degrees. So right now, I'm going to make an x-axis and a y-axis. And I know it's kind of difficult to do on your own, but I'm just going to go ahead and make a circle so you guys can see that we have 360 degrees. I'm going to have my initial side. So my initial side is always where? It's always on the x-axis. And my terminal side, where's my terminal side going to finish? It's going to finish at 135 degrees, which is actually going to be perfectly in between 180 degrees and 90 degrees. That's where 135 is located. We're in quadrant what? Quadrant number 2. All of our x values in quadrant 2 are negative, and all of our y values are positive. So what we're going to be searching for, everybody, we're going to search for our x, we're going to search for our y, and our radius. Now, once you figure out this is your initial, this is your terminal, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to create an angle with the x-axis. So from right here, from this point, right here, I want you to draw a line going straight down to your x-axis, which forms a right triangle. Now, if theta, what did we say theta was equal to? Theta was equal to 135 degrees, which means this little angle right here is 45 degrees. Which means what kind of triangle do we have? We have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now that's a triangle that's one of the special right triangles. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. This is 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. Here are the numbers that I want you to simply use when you're working with it, 45, 45, 90. 1, 1, radical 2. 1, 1, and a radical 2. Now, you've probably done this chart before, okay, where x represents the lengths of the sides. The hypotenuse will always be whatever the length of one of the legs are times radical 2. So right now we can say x is 1, our radius or our hypotenuse of the triangle is radical 2. So this point right here, everybody, in the Cartesian plane, that point represents the origin, right? 0, 0. So how far did I travel this direction? I traveled 1 unit, but that's our x value, right? So that's going to be a -1. And how high up am I on the unit circle? I'm 1 unit, that's positive. And what's the radius of our circle? Radical 2. This is what you're going to need in order to solve every single one of these problems. You want to know what is your x coordinate, what is your y coordinate, and what is your r value. Now, our original problem, everybody, our original problem was the what? What is the cosine? Is that what it was? What's the cosine of 3 pi over 4? And so what does this represent? That represented a 135 degree angle. Correct. All right. And that right there represents our theta. So right here, think about what we got. The cosine of theta is equal to our x value in comparison to our r value. So go ahead and write that down. All right, so what is our x coordinate? Our x coordinate was a -1. What is our r value? Radical 2. Can we keep it like this? No, we can't have radicals where? In the denominator. So we have to multiply it by radical 2 over radical 2. And our final answer is going to be a negative radical 2 over 2. Because radical 2 times radical 2 is radical what? It's a radical 4, but what does radical 4 eventually become? It becomes a 2. So we went from an irrational number in the denominator to a rational number in the denominator. So the cosine, everybody, of 3 pi over 4 is equal to negative radical 2 over 2. This is your exact answer, but exact. Okay? So watch this. I'm going to take this exact answer, put it in the calculator. Negative radical 2 divided by 2. You guys see that decimal right there? Now, if your mode is in radians mode, right here, see it's radian mode, and I went back to the screen, I said, hey, what's the cosine of 3 pi divided by 4 and pressed enter? What decimal do you think is going to pop up on the screen? The exact same one if we did it wrong. So, if you get an exact answer, by the way, I don't want the decimal. What do I want? I want the exact answer. That's your negative radical 2 over 2. This is the approximate value of it. But you can check your work by typing it. Or you can do what I did when I was a high school student. I memorized all the decimals. And then just typed it in and oh, that's negative radical 2 over 2. Without having to do a whole bunch of work. But you have to know all the decimals to do it. It's not that hard. Yes, I'm aware. It's so hard to know negative 7.07 is negative radical 2 over 2. Just like I know radical 3 over 2 is approximately equal to 0.866. Alright? And radical 3 is approximately equal to 1.73. So if I just type it in the calculator and got it, I was able to go from what? Decimals to your exact answer without having to do any work. Some of you would be like, that's pretty easy. Some of you are like, you're weird. So right now what we're going to do, for all you weirdos out there that are actually watching this, we're going to do problem number, just kidding, you're not weird. You're just, weird becomes boss later in life. Just letting you know. Okay? All right, now, at this point, we're going to do number 18. What do you think we're going to do on problem number 18 first? We're going to take this guy, and I want to convert him to degrees. So we're going to take 5 pi over 3, and we're going to multiply him by 180 over pi, and that's going to give me, because remember this is theta, that will give me my theta in degrees instead of radians. This is radians going to degrees. Oh, what's going to happen to the pi's? They cancel out. 3 goes into 180. 60 times 5 times 60 is 300. So if you had a graphing calculator, you could probably get 300 with relative ease if you just type it in. So where are we at on the unit circle? We're at 300 degrees. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to draw my unit circle by hand. Here we go. Here's going to be my x-axis. This is going to be my y-axis. I'm going to work really hard to draw a circle right now. It's going to be so hard. Oh, stop. Okay. All right. So right now, where is my terminal side going to be? My initial side starts where? Starts right here on the x-axis. Where are we going to finish, everybody? We're going to finish where? 300. So right now, in case you're wondering, this is 90. This is 0, also 360. This is 180. This is 270. Which quadrant are we going to end up in? That's right, Angela. Quadrant 4. I saw that. She was giving me the 4 fingers. She's better than 1. All right, so right now we're going to rotate all the way around. How many degrees past the 270 are we going to go? How many degrees? Just 30 degrees past. Okay? So right now, this is your point right here. This point will be a positive x, but it's going to be a negative y. Now, once you've figured out where your terminal side is, what are we going to do next? We're going to draw a right triangle. Where to, though? Yes, this is where students mess up. They do this. That would be wrong. We want to go always to where? Always to your x-axis. We always want to find our reference angle. Look here. This is our reference angle. How many degrees is this going to be? If right here, if we are at 300 degrees, that's going to be 60. Yes, we're going to have a 30, 60, 90. Now, some of you are like, oh, 30, 60, 90, easy. Some of you are like, what's the 30, 60, 90? All right, so right here, I'm going to make it upside down, 30, 60, 90. All right? Now, nobody in this class, nobody knows in this class what a 30, 60, 90 is. All right? And you know what? Caitlin's going to watch this video tonight, and this is going to make total 100% sense to her. All right? Shout out to Caitlin and Mister. All right? So here we go. Right now, we have a 30, 60, 90. Here are the numbers that always go with a 30, 60, 90. 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. This is a table you might want to have in your journal, especially if your teacher's nice and lets you use a journal on tests. No. A 1, a 1 radical 3, which is just radical 3, and a 2. So right here, what's the distance across from the 30-degree angle? 1. What's the distance across from the 60-degree angle? Radical 3. What's the hypotenuse always going to be? 2. But for the basics, obviously there's bigger 30, 60, 90 triangles, but we're just using the basics here. 1, radical 3, and a 2. So right here, what's the distance from here to here, everybody? Right there. Oh, come on. 1. What's the distance from here to right here? Radical 3. But what I want you to understand is, since that's our y value, our x value is what? Our x value is 1. What's our y value going to be, though? It's going to be a negative radical 3. And what's the distance of our radius? Our distance of our radius is 2. So r is equal to 2. So now that you guys have your x value, your y value, and your r value, this problem becomes so easy. So here we go. Adam, what was our original problem? Ready? Our original problem was, what's the cosine of what? What was it? 5 pi over 3? Oh, not cosine. Sine? All right. The sine of 5 pi over 3. Which is the same as saying, what's the sine of what? 300 degrees. So the sine of theta, these are the thetas, okay, our measure of our angles. This one's in radians, this one's in degrees. What's the relationship of the sine of theta? It's the y value in comparison to the r value. Which is, what's my y value? Negative radical 3. What's the r value? 2. By the way, this is our exact answer. Now that's approximately equal to negative 0.866. That's the approximate value of this. Okay? Which means, if this is our exact and final answer, that's our exact. Guess what we can do in the calculator, right? Type in the sine and type in 5 pi divided by 3 and press enter. What did I say the approximate value is? Negative 0.866. Which is that exact answer right there. So if you want to take your math teachers off, memorize all of the decimals, all right? And it helps you on tests. Okay? It's a good thing I don't have a comment